fantastic country to travel to is Botswana, located in the heart of southern Africa. It's about the same size as France, 581,730 kilometers in size, with a population of just over 2.7 million. Incredibly small population for a land size like that. Peaceful, prosperous nation has chosen high-quality tourism over mass tourism, makes it super important to book early for Botswana, especially in the high season. A couple of interesting facts: home of the Okavango Delta, one of the few major inland delta systems without an outlet to the sea, creating a vast oasis within the Kalahari Desert with permanent marshlands and seasonal flooding, resulting in great concentrations of wildlife. A couple of signature wildlife experiences you can expect in Botswana: the Big Five, huge lion populations, wild dog, red lichwe, just to name a few species. And you can't mention Botswana without mentioning the huge elephant populations that makes Botswana famous as a destination for elephant lovers.
Botswana is the golden child of safari destinations in southern Africa. The Okavango Delta, famous destination, a true wilderness experience. Botswana is also known for low impact tourism, so you don't really get the crowds as you do in East Africa, and then obviously, all the wildlife that goes with it. So it's not really much more I can say about that, except the delta, the number of people that you have on safari. It's a true wildlife safari experience.
Yeah, I think Botswana, no matter where you are, I suppose outside the little towns and cities, you're always in nature. It's almost like everybody there is used to living with nature and sharing life with animals and stuff. It's amazing, truly untouched area.
So Botswana is famous for having focused on low-volume, high-income tourism, but in fact there are cost-effective ways to travel through the country. I think the highlight for anyone who's travelled through southern Africa, then Botswana is where they'll have their most vivid safari experiences and memories.
The personal experience, Botswana, I actually haven't been to Botswana for a very long time. I'm not going to say when I was because I'll be showing my age. But the Mokoro trip in the Delta, unforgettable experience, just being pulled around those channels of water, complete silence, nature around you. You can see sort of elephants in the distance on the riverbanks and on the banks of the channels, and that was truly a remarkable experience. There's not really anywhere else in the world that you can have that with the wildlife.
I think for me, the most remarkable experience was when your inter-camp transfers, that's usually with a small aircraft, when you fly over the Okavango Delta and you see the animals from the air, usually the larger ones, like elephants, all scattered around in untouched nature. It's amazing how vast it is. And then on top of that, also our boat cruise to get to one of the permanent island lodges. It's the same like Dan just mentioned. It's untouched and it's silent and you're in nature, and there's nothing that interferes with that. Actually, is an amazing area.
Bristol, mine, because I was going to do the flying between mama ships.
Sorry.
That's okay. So in my most recent visit to Botswana, we were able to do a boat trip on the Chobe River, and this is a fantastic way to see all sorts of wildlife and bird life. There's a very high chance of seeing elephants, hippos, crocodiles, so that's something particularly special, and it is possible to do the boat trips all year round, whereas a lot of the water levels in Botswana are very seasonal.
Top parks for me, and that's just because I've also visited these areas, would be obviously Chobe National Park. Nice about Chobe, it's also very accessible from Victoria Falls. I actually do a day trip from Vic Falls to Chobe, and Chobe you can do the combination of game drives as well as boat trips. So it's very accessible, there's some very good hotels, it's a great first time destination to go to. And then obviously the Okavango Delta for the walking safari aspect and just camping in those open wilderness locations, and as well as the Mokoro trips that you do in the Okavango Delta.
Yeah, I would say for first time travellers to Botswana, definitely the Okavango Delta or Chobe are the two must-see places, but then there's a few smaller areas, lesser known, lesser visited areas. Like one of my favorite was the Savuti area of the greater Chobe National Park. It's very secluded. There's not so many lodges, so you never see other tourists around when you travel around there. Also very seasonal. They also have some waterways flowing into the Savuti, but that is just seasonal.
So for those who've got more time to explore more of the country, or perhaps returning for a second visit, then the Khadi pans are very special. Throughout the year, the seasons and the water levels completely affect your experience. So I've been there and done quad biking across the pans. You actually see the curve of the Earth's surface because of the size of those. And another time I was there when it had rained, and you could walk for an hour. You've got soft sand squishing between your toes, and the water never gets higher than your knees. And that was a very contemplative and special experience as well, and in complete contrast to my first visit.
Best time to visit Botswana certainly is during the dry, cooler season. So pretty much from June through to September. That's the peak period. It's also going to mean the rates in Botswana is also seasonal, so you'll be paying more for that time of year. But like I mentioned before, you don't get the crowds really during the busy time of year. I think only really Chobe National Park will get sort of busier than the other ones. But yeah, if you want to hit the sort of Goldilocks zone, probably say July, August is your best time, yeah.
So in Botswana, throughout the year, there is a huge range of pricing. It is seasonal, but also there's the option to travel either on an overland trip where you're camping, which is going to be more cost effective than some of the very luxury lodges that you fly into, which can actually cost thousands of dollars per person per night. So that's a very special experience. You won't see any other travellers, but not within everyone's budget. As Dan has said, if you can go during the shoulder season, perhaps you'll get reasonable pricing. So also, because the weather is so seasonal, and the water levels in the delta also have a huge impact. So actually when you've got the rainy season, the water level in the delta is at its lowest because the waters have to have time to come through from Angola. So if you're particularly keen on doing a Makoro trip and one of the dugout canoes, make sure first of all that you're staying at a water-based camp, and also that you're there at a time of year where the water levels are higher, because when the water levels get low there are more hippos, and sometimes that kind of game viewing experience does have to be cancelled. So it is always going to be dependent on both the water levels as well as the time of year.
So like and subscribe. Also feel free to join a 6-part email course that will answer everything you need to know about going on safari in the link below. And check out our website. We have many tours of all various durations and styles for each country in East and Southern Africa.